Hello friends, in this video we are going to learn about punctuation as well as I have displayed the answers for previous article exercise. For the questions you can check the previous video. I am going to display only the answers. You can take a screenshot if you wish. Yes, we have come to the topic punctuation. Proper punctuation is required to make sure meaning of a sentence is clearly understood. We have these basic or principal punctuation: full stop, comma, semicolon, colon, question mark, exclamatory mark or exclamation mark, both are fine, quotation mark or inverted commas, dash, parenthesis, hyphen, apostrophe. Here dash is much wider than hyphen. You can also write it as an underscore, but underscore is used only in emails. Full stop. It is used at the end of assertive or imperative sentences. For example, I am a student, full stop. Fetch me a glass of water, full stop. Please note, we are not going to write the punctuation names here. That is the symbol to be written, right? So here fetch me a glass of water is an order, imperative sentence, in that it is an order or command. If you want to know clearly the difference between assertive, imperative and all this types of sentences, you can check for the upcoming videos. Full stop is also used in abbreviations and initials. For example, M.Sc, right? And K.Anand, here it is used as an to separate initial with the name. Comma. Comma is used to separate three or more words of same parts of speech. For example, he bought a pen, comma, pencil, comma, eraser and sharpener. While reading, actually we do not read with comma, but to make sure you understand the concept, I am reading it like that. So here, pen, pencil, eraser and sharpener are nouns. In the next one, I had a long, joyful and entertaining tour. So these are adjectives. She had finished her exercise neatly, quickly and correctly is adverb here. So same parts of speech, when they are used together in a sentence, you can use comma to separate them. But it is not used before and. Check the sentences properly. I have never used comma before and. To separate each pair of words connected by and, we use comma. Here, each pair of words connected by and. So here, listen carefully. Monish, my beloved niece, is studying in LKG. Actually, the meaning is Monish is my beloved niece. He is also studying in LKG. We usually write it as Monish is my beloved niece and he is studying in LKG. But to make sure it is more proper, we write it as Monish, my beloved niece, is studying in LKG. Sudha, a great dancer, was disabled. Right? So it is like both the phrases are for a same person or thing. But when we have to write it in the same sentence, we usually use and, right? So instead of that, you can use comma. Actually, for the second example, we can also write it as Sudha, who was a great dancer, was disabled, right? So for these kind of sentences, we can use comma to avoid making it a compound sentence. Usually we use this when we have to convert types of sentences. To avoid repetition of verb. For example, I gave her a doll and him a book. So here and him, we can understand that I have given him. I need not once again write I gave her a doll and I gave him a book. I need not write like that. I can write I gave her a doll, comma, and him a book. We can easily understand the meaning here. To separate subordinate clause if it comes before principal clause. Here subordinate clause is the one which depends on the other main clause. Here, when I was a student, I practiced grammar daily. Please understand how to differentiate between subordinate and principal clause. Sentence which depends is subordinate. Sentence which can be independent is principal. For example, I practiced grammar daily. It makes sense even without the other one. But when I was a student, if I leave it till there, it is incomplete. There is no meaning intended in this, right? So it is when I was a student is subordinate. I practiced grammar daily as principal clause. If I had written I practiced grammar daily when I was a student, there used to be no need for me to write a comma. But when I'm writing the subordinate one first, I have to separate the main and subordinate with a comma, right? To separate short coordinate clauses of compound sentences. For example, I came, I saw, I conquered. The next one, he joined, learned, and won the job. Usually we write it as he's joined, he learned, and he won the job. Instead of this, he joined, learned, and won the job will make the sentence more simpler and neat. Semicolon. It is used to separate clause of compound sentence which already contains comma. See, for example, I'm already having comma in the main clause or subordinate clause. If I once again write comma to separate those both, it will be a little confusing to understand which is subordinate and principal clause. So, the sweet melodious music came to a close. It means it has come to a end point. Then, instead of writing comma, I am using a semicolon. And there was a thunderous applause. So, in this case, you can use a semicolon. To separate a series of loosely related clauses, it means that two clauses are not completely related, right? It like one clause is not dependent on other, but those both are regarding same topic or same person. Here her coat was pure, her life serene. These things can be used actually in story writing or poetry. In general sentence writing we do not use this. Colon. To introduce a list or enumeration. For example, like I'm enumerating the list. We usually say, right, I'm going to enumerate the list now. The content of this book is colon, noun, pronoun, verb. You can also see for every slide till now, after EX, that is example, I had put a semicolon. That means I'm going to enumerate the examples now. When I want to list something out, I am writing colon. To introduce a quotation. For example, Bacon said, reading makes a man full man, writing an exact man, speaking a ready man. This is a quotation given by Bacon. So, this is a fact or quotation. So, I am going to introduce it with a colon. This is also once again used only for in this sentence. We cannot use it for every sentence. Like for direct speech, you cannot use this. You must use comma instead of colon. Between sentences grammatically independent but closely connected in sense. For example, study to acquire a habit of thinking. No study is more important. You can see these both are completely different sentences. They are not grammatically independent, right? So, they can be connected with a colon, right? So, it is like those two sentences are not closely connected, but I need not write them separately. When I have to talk about two different sentences having a somewhat little connection, I can use a colon. Question mark. After a direct question like what are you doing, a question mark. That means I'm asking something. When I'm waiting for a reply or an answer is expected, I can use a question mark. But note that it cannot be used in indirect questions. You cannot write, he asked me what I was doing and then question mark. It will be wrong. The first one is direct and second one is indirect. So, question mark can be used only in a direct question. You cannot use it in an indirect one. Exclamation mark. It is used after interjection. Interjection, it's a part of speech. So, if you're not sure what is interjection, please check the parts of speech video. But for now, understand that interjection is a way of expressing your feeling. So, as he met with an accident. So, that sudden remark which you're giving is interjection, and we have to use exclamation over there. You cannot replace the exclamatory mark with any other punctuation mark. It has to be exclamatory mark. After phrases and sentences which express sudden remark or feeling, how cold it is, how beautiful it is, such feeling, expression, while reading the sentence, when you have to read with that feel or you have to remark that, you need to use an exclamation mark. Quotation mark. To enclose dialogue with exact words of speaker. That is, it has to be used in direct speech. She said, "How are you?" When I'm writing, she said that how you are or how you were. I cannot use quotation mark over there. Quotation mark expresses that it is the direct speaker who is speaking. So you have to use it only in direct speech. Dash, actually it is used in very rare cases. And in emails, for writing the email ID of a person, we use dash. In usual sentences, it is very rare that we use dash. There are certain cases where they connect different parts of sentences using a dash, but presently that is outdated. Hyphen. It connects parts of compound word. See, for example, sister-in-law. Sister hyphen in hyphen law. This is a compound word. If I write it together, it will be wrong. If I write it with spacing, once again it becomes a sentence or a phrase. So I'm going to connect that with hyphen. We usually write after colon hyphen for enumerating a list. But instead of that, try to use only colon, because if you write hyphen over there, it's not a punctuation mark. Parenthesis. Separate from main part of sentence which grammatically does not belong to it. Sometimes we would have the need to give extra information even though it is not necessary. For example, he gained from heaven a friend. This is what is the main sentence which we want to write. But to emphasize it more, I will write in bracket, it was all he wished. So there an additional information is being given, but I'm not giving it directly with the sentence. I hope you understand this. See, when we take another example, let's take another example. When we have to write biological names, we usually write the common name and in the bracket we write scientific name. It means I'm just giving extra information. Actually, the scientific name is not required, but I'm giving it so that it gives additional information. In that case, we can use a parenthesis. Apostrophe is used where omission of letters is shown. For example, SHAN apostrophe T. What's this? It is shall not. Shall not. You cannot read it as shan't, it is shall not. But when we have to write it in a shorter phrase or in a shorter way, we write it in this way. To show omission of letters, I can write apostrophe. Don't. It is nothing but do not. We write it in shorter way in this way. At that time, I have to use apostrophe. To form plural of letters or figures. For example, there are two R's in this word. If I write R without apostrophe and S, it either becomes rupees, RS, which we write in the short form, or it is something like RS. We do not know how to pronounce that. It becomes a complete wrong one. So, you have to write it with apostrophe. Same way, there are 7 sevens in this number. I've just taken an example. It means that there are 7 digits in this number. At that time, I have to use an apostrophe. Capital letters, we are at the end, right? Capital letter is also a punctuation. Earlier, I had told punctuation makes a sentence more clear. You may ask why capital letters are part of punctuation. Because a sentence should always start with capital letter. Punctuation is the way in which we write a sentence. So it has to start with a capital letter. So capital letters, where can they be used? To begin a sentence. For example, this is a presentation. Now I am giving a statement, this is a presentation. But I cannot write the first letter with a lowercase letter. It has to be uppercase. Proper noun beginning words. For example, what are proper nouns? Something particular, something unique name. So here Mount Everest or your name. You always write your name and initial in capital letters. Abbreviations. WHO is nothing but United Nations Agency, World Health Organization. We write it in short form WHO, WHO. So it has to be in capital letters. Please note it. You cannot write it in lowercase letters. Capital letters are the only way you can write abbreviations. What we saw earlier, MSc and all that, that is a different case. That is abbreviation for that particular branch. But when we are writing these kind of abbreviations, you have to write them in capital letters. Pronoun I. She said that I was good. I is a pronoun. I is a pronoun. You have to write it in capital letter. Please do not neglect it. It is very important. All of us write I in capitals, but if you are writing in lowercase letters, please change it. You have to write it in capital letters. Interjection O. Oh, what have I done? That exclamation when we want to show, you have to write O in capital letters. Hope you understood punctuation clearly. If possible, I will be posting exercises regarding punctuation in the next video. If not, we will continue with the next grammar part. Until then, revise the concepts done till now. Have a good day.